waiting for them when they returned. Vivian had gone upstairs to change, seen the door of the spare bedroom ajar, looked in, and found him hanging by the neck from the light fitting. They cut him down and called for an ambulance. Malcolm performed CPR and brought him back to life just as the sirens were heard coming down the road. It was a depressing end to 2018, and it was going to be a sad start to 2019. The kettle boiled, bringing Vivian back to reality. She hadn't felt the tears roll down her cheeks, but saw little splashes of them on the worktop. She wiped them away and set about making herself a strong cup of tea. She opened the cupboard above the kettle and took out a tin of biscuits. She'd overbought for Christmas, as usual, and there were plenty of snacks and treats left. It was times like these when worrying about calories and your waistline went out of the window. Chocolate was needed, and she had plenty to choose from. The kitchen door opened some time later, and Malcolm padded in, dragging his feet along the floor. "What are you doing up?" he asked her. "It's still pitch black outside." She looked up and saw her husband, with wild grey hair, his dressing gown half hanging off his shoulders, and his eyes barely open. She giggled. "I've never known anyone go to sleep and wake up looking like they spent 8 hours in a tumble-dryer." He tried to neaten himself up. "There's nothing wrong with being comfortable in your own bed." "Still not sleeping?" She shook her head. "Would you like a cuppa?" "I may as well, now I'm up." Vivian stood up and went to make another cup of tea. She'd almost finished the one she'd been drinking, so made a second cup for herself. "I'm sorry I disturbed you." "You didn't." He stifled a yawn. "My mind must realise when you've got up and wakes me up. For some reason I can't sleep without you next to me." "Aw, that's a lovely thing to say." She turned to him and blew him a kiss. "When you were in hospital for those 3 days having your shoulder done, I hardly slept a wink. Tossing and turning, kicking the duvet off. I need to feel a warm body beside me." "You could have had an escort," she said with a cheeky grin on her face. "If you'd been away any longer, I would have done." She gave a throaty laugh and placed 2 mugs on the table. "Then you'd have been in hospital with exhaustion." They sat at opposite ends of the breakfast table, Malcolm with his back to the door leading out to the hallway. Vivian watched while her husband rifled through the biscuit tin. They frequently exchanged jokey comments. They both had a dark sense of humour that only each other understood. Her smile soon faded, though. Levity didn't visit this house for long. "We can't go on like this, Malcolm," Vivian said, her hands wrapped around the mug. He looked up. "I know," he said softly. "We need to do something." "Like what?" She thought for a moment before shrugging. "I don't know. Look, I know you said I shouldn't, but how about if I just call round this evening and have a word?" "Vivian, no. It's got nothing to do with us. He needs to sort out his own problems." "But he's not doing it, is he?" Vivian said in a loud whisper. "He spends all day in his room. He hardly eats. He never goes out. If she could just see—" "Vivian," Malcolm said firmly, "it's over. His marriage is over. And the sooner he accepts that and moves on, the better it will be for all of us." His words echoed around the room. Vivian sat back in her chair, her face a picture of sadness, worry, and lost hope. "It's not just his marriage, though, Malcolm. It's everything else that's happened," she said, a catch in her throat. "He's lost his job, his home, his brother—" Her words were lost to her tears. Malcolm jumped up and ran to her side of the table. He put his arms around her and held her tight. "What did we do wrong, Malcolm?" she asked between sobs. "We didn't neglect them as children. We didn't smack them or abuse them. We gave them everything they could want, and look how they've turned out. One in prison, and the other with a restraining order against him from his own